What's going on, everybody? Welcome inside here to Jordan-Hare Stadium. Jason Caldwell, I'm Nathan King here at Auburn Undercover. Jason, game day is finally here. Hopefully you guys can hear us.
Yeah, if game day's here, that means you can hardly hear us.
Yeah, so. Hopefully you guys can pick us up. But we're here inside the stadium, Jason. Just about a half hour from Tiger Walk, about 2.5 hours from kickoff. Auburn against UMass obviously opens up the Hugh Freeze era. Been a lot of anticipation, Jason. It feels like just yesterday we were there in that room when Hugh Freeze was getting hired, and 9 months later they're going to finally get on the field.
Yeah, it's that time, and it should be a great day here. Weather-wise, it's a little overcast. It looks good. Maybe we'll avoid any kind of stray shower or whatever today, but good weather day, and it's a day that everybody's been waiting for a while. What do we see out of this team? There's a whole lot of unknown from this Auburn team. We've seen some of the pieces, but what does it look like when it's all together and when you're playing another opponent? That's what we have to find out today, and kind of anxious to see running game, how well Auburn can run it. On the flip side, what's this Auburn front look like? Is it more of Auburn's offensive line, a little bit of the defensive line? We'll start to get some of those answers today.
White out in the stadium today, tons of people tailgating. On paper, it's the largest crowd ever. Of course, they've snuck some people in here before, but lots of new gadgets and gizmos around the stadium, so I'm getting the pyrotechnics set up. So if you're here today and you're going to be heading to the game, you'll see a lot of new stuff. Speaking of newcomers, of course, Jason, that's going to be a thing. You've said it all week. Have a game program handy. Not only is there a bunch of new guys on both sides of the ball, if they get up in this game, they might start rotating guys. You might see some of those young puppies like Hugh Freeze called them. It starts with number one on offense, the quarterback, Peyton Thorne. How much of Robbie Ashford will we see? We've talked about that this week. He's obviously got that oblique strain. I'll be interested to see how much of a role he has. But this is a passing game that's still very much in progress. Talking about Hugh Freeze, talking about the receivers, still trying to get things going. You might see a few, nicks and bruises here as they're trying to figure things out in the passing game. But they brought Peyton Thorne in because of his experience. He won the job because of his decision making. So I think those are two things you want to see today if you're Auburn.
Yeah, I think you're right. How much does the passing game start to kind of round into form as you narrow down the focus too? You narrow down, hey, what do you do best? What's in the game plan? We talked to Peyton Thorne this week as part of our Real Deal series, and he said, look, it helps a lot when you start the game plan. Okay, what do you see from a defense? Here's what we're going to run in those situations instead of kind of trying to run everything. And so how much does that help? Shane Hooks, Jair Shorter, Caleb Burton, Peyton Thorne, those guys on the offense that we didn't see in the spring are going to be really good, going to be important. And so, how much can they do those things? How much can they involve? And I think when you start talking about it, that's part of it. That's some things to look for. And so, a lot of newcomers on both sides of the ball, but that offense is kind of what everybody's going to be watching early on.
We will see if Jarquez Hunter is able to go today. If not, Jason, this is a stable of Auburn running backs that, depending on what happens in the passing game, depending on how they're able to work through things. Hugh Freeze said it on Monday, though. We may have 400 rushing yards, we may have 400 passing yards because of how this read-based system works. But at the end of the day, getting to the second half, UMass starts getting worn down. Pretty safe bet that Auburn's running backs, even without Jarquez Hunter, probably are going to have a pretty good day today.
Yeah, I think we're going to see. You mentioned rotations. I think we're going to see 3 or 4 running backs. I think we're going to see a couple of quarterbacks at least. I think we're going to see 7 or 8 offensive linemen, 4 tight ends, 7 or 8 wide receivers. Then there'll be some rotation throughout on defense. So I think in the first half we could see 40, 45 players just in the first half alone, no matter the score. So it's going to be like you're right. Get a program ready. Kind of those new faces. Kind of watch out for them. Some different numbers. Should be a lot of fun, and we'll see if they can make it a fun day by the way they play this afternoon.
The run defense is getting a lot of attention. Hugh Freeze saying, are we struggling there, or are the running backs just good? 3 players there in the front 7 who are getting healthy. Kelvick Fall, Jalen McLeod, Austin Keith, all seem like they're going to play today. Obviously, that's a big key for this Auburn defense, trying to slow down a pretty good quarterback there in Tyson Pumachan, who did some dynamic things and is able to open up that UMass offense.
Yeah, no, it's an athletic group, and he is the guy that's really athletic with the things he does and the things he brings to the table. A big physical kid. If you let him get going and you let him kind of get some running room, then he can put a lot of pressure on the defense. So this is an offense from UMass that has a veteran offensive line. They're big. The speed aspect and depth aspect should be really in Auburn's favor. So that's the thing I think you look at for here. But no, it can be a challenge, and if you let them hang around, if you turn it over a couple of times, this can be a game that Auburn people might expect it to look like that 35-14 40-point spread. It can be a lot closer than that if you help out UMass a little bit.
Yeah, we'll see how the new clock rules work. You freeze talk about shortening the game. Whose advantage is that in favor of? Jason, I'll bring in Christian now, our recruiting expert. Tell me a little bit about what they've got going on campus this week in terms of guys that are coming on, and Christian will touch on that as well.
Yeah, lots of the current commitments are here. We saw a couple of those guys last night, and in Pat Burnett, Jaden Lewis, and there'll be a lot more of the current commitments on campus. This is a big 2025 day, though, Christian. When you look at
2026.
Yeah, and 2026. This is going to be a day they continue to build these relationships with the younger guys. Some of those guys that the 2024 class, a lot of those guys are maybe going to wait till like a Georgia to really come in. Today's going to be another day where you're getting a lot of the top 20, 25, and 26 targets on campus. A big day to build for the future.
Well, here's the thing I said on our board, too. These 25s and 26s, they'll be back for the Georgias and for the Alabamas. This is your opportunity pregame. Spend more time with them pregame. Bring them into the locker room postgame,
Right.
whatever. This is your opportunity to really start chipping away there. You'll bring them back, but you can't spend a ton of attention on them when maybe Cam Coleman is here or something
Right.
like that, and you're really trying to focus on that. So, we got 25s. We already saw Alvin Henderson already out here on the field in his Auburn clothes.
Yep.
That's a guy who, since June, has said multiple times, I've got to be there for the opener. He's the first recruit we saw out on the field. Eric Winter's supposed to be here. Spencer Dowland is the name that we continue to track pretty heavily, the offensive lineman out of Athens. So there's a really nice group of 25s, and then 26s. I mean, of the names we've already confirmed, I think there's like 3 top 50 players. So
it should be a good day. And you're right. This is a building for the future, building relationships for those guys. And you're right, a chance to get them a little bit more one-on-one attention that you might not be able to do at some of these bigger games. And so, a couple of those guys already committed from locally. They're still working on a couple more. We're right. We could see more momentum built even in 2025, and that could continue starting today.
Yeah. So we'll have to see what happens. But mostly 24s, commits, a lot of those guys, really the local guys, the Alabama and Georgia guys, and then a ton of 25s and 26s from this area, and even some kids from New York who did out this morning. They're here. So, we'll see. Last year, I remember James Smith and Quay Rousseau showed up randomly week 1 as a surprise.
That's the thing. There could be some new guys.
Yeah, so we don't know. So we'll see what happens. But it should be a good one.
Looking forward to it. We'll have all your coverage, auburnundercover.com, part of the 24/7 network. Follow us there. Facebook, YouTube. We'll have tons of stuff throughout the day, so check us out, and happy